New year, new you. What could possibly go wrong? It's the time of year where you're going to get a bombardment of fitness information, diet information on the internet, in the gym, on social media, and it can be very confusing on what's the best thing for you to do in the new year. The truth is, there's only a few things that you really need to do, and I'll get to it at the end of this video, but there's a couple of things that can really wreck your progress. That's what we're going to focus on now. The temptation in the new year is to go super extreme with whatever it is that you're doing. Massively restrict calories, train way too much, spend a fortune on supplements. And all of those things work, but they won't work long term. If you're really looking for that new year, new you, there's a few things and pitfalls that you should be trying to avoid coming into this new year season. Number one, fad diets. So there's lots of different fad diets and different diets that are popular at different times of the year, but the one that really pops up at this time is normally a juice or a bar diet. So when it comes to juice and bar diets, it's going to come in lots of different shapes and forms. You're going to have people either in the gym, on social media, or on the internet telling you that if you eat 600 calories from a bar for the next 6 weeks, you're going to lose a load of weight. And the truth is, you will lose a load of weight. But you could also eat 600 calories from a Mars bar and you'd also lose a load of weight. And that way you'd get a Mars bar every day. Probably 3. If you decide to go on a bar or a juice diet over the new year period, the only weight you're going to lose over the long period of time is that weight that's in your purse or in your wallet. Because they're fucking expensive. And they don't really work. So that's pitfall number 1. Pitfall number 2 is a little bit trickier and a little bit easier to get caught by because you're not going to have some twat in the gym pushing some crap product on you. And that's a massive restriction in your overall calorie intake from real food. That looks like massively reducing the amount of food or the amount of calories you're eating because you're trying to lose the pre-Christmas or get back to your pre-Christmas condition. So what that generally looks like is, I'm going to skip breakfast. I'm going to have a salad for lunch. I'm not eating any carbs for dinner. And you do that for 7, 10, 14 days and then you end up binging off the back end because you've massively reduced your amount of calories. That's not going to be sustainable either. So I totally get that temptation. I've done it myself. When you've overeaten and drank way too much in the Christmas period, the temptation in the new year is just to cut back massively on the amount of food you're eating and the amount of calories you're eating. And that's going to be fine for the short term, but you're not going to be able to stick to that. So that's pitfall number 2 that you need to keep an eye out for. Then pitfall number 3, going away from the diet, is overtraining. And this is another massive temptation and a mistake that I've made myself. When you've overindulged at Christmas, New Year hits and you go, right, I'm going to the gym, I'm going to get in there every morning, I'm going to do loads of cardio, I'm going to do loads of training, and then you end up overtraining and frying your central nervous system where you end up getting sick after 3 weeks of overdoing it. So what this normally looks like is, right, I haven't trained it all over Christmas or I haven't trained in the last 6 months, I'm going to go to the gym 5 days a week this week. And I might even go twice a day. And I'm going to do 3-hour workouts. You're not going to be able to stick to that long term. What you want to do with your training this time of year is minimum effective dose for getting your body to respond. And what minimum effective dose means is you're doing more than you're normally doing to get your body to respond and get your metabolism elevated by moving more than you generally did pre-Christmas. So if you've never been to the gym, working out 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, is going to work amazingly well for you. If you normally work out 3 times a week, you might want to increase it to 4 times a week. If you normally do 20-minute workouts at home, maybe increase it to 30 or 40 minutes, but don't go super extreme. Going from never working out to 5 days in the gym is a recipe for disaster because you're not going to be able to stick to that long term. On the other side of the coin, if you're an extreme trainer and you're normally training 4 or 5 times a week, the temptation is to do double workouts in the morning, in the evening, cardio at the end of workouts, and that's also not going to be sustainable either because you're going to fry your central nervous system and you will get sick, you will get run down, and you're not going to be able to keep doing it. So the 3 New Year pitfalls to watch out for: the fad bar and juice diets and the fucking twats that sell them. 2, extreme calorie restriction, where you're massively reducing your food intake because you're trying to get rid of that pre-Christmas weight. And 3, overtraining, whatever that looks like for you. So going from never working out to 5 days a week, or going from 4 or 5 days a week to double sessions, completely frying your central nervous system. The way to get in shape in the new year is simple. Find a training program that works for you that's a little bit more progressive than you did pre-Christmas, meaning that you increase it by a day, increase it by 10 or 20 minutes per session without going crazy. Get into a calorie deficit with your food, making sure that you're not eating too many calories and you're getting into that deficit so that you can burn some of that fat for fuel that you built over the Christmas period. So that's going to set you up so when the middle of February comes, you're not going to go off the rails because you went too hard from the beginning. Think about the next 52 weeks of the year. It's not about what you do for the month of January, it's what you do for January, February, March, April onwards that's going to set you up for long-term success. So what are the New Year fitness pitfalls have you fallen for in the past? I've fallen for the overtraining. I've fallen for the massive calorie restriction. Comment your ones below and let me know. And as always, if you like what you see, be sure to follow or subscribe for videos coming each and every week.